Talking Timberline Resources today. Timberline trades as TBR on the Toronto Venture Exchange, TLRS, the OTC markets in the States. I've got CEO Patrick Highsmith here with me. Patrick, good to connect again. I know we spoke last week or so, press release related, and welcomed you to the team. I guess it's been since late October, not too super recent, but here we are, 2021. I want to run through some value with the company. Investors are looking to make money in all sorts of places, a lot of blue sky out there, a lot of dreamers. You guys dream big as well, so you might just be on to something there at Eureka, so let's get into it here. Patrick Highsmith, Timberline Resources.
Well, good morning, Rob. It's good to be with you. As you said, about 4.5 months in the CEO role for me here at Timberline, but that came after 3 months of hard work of looking at the projects, the company, the team, and kind of deciding to join up and get down to business with our flagship asset. Of course, is the Eureka Project near Eureka, Nevada, and we've come off now. A good sort of third trimester of the year exploration program, quite a lot of reverse circulation drilling, a little bit of core drilling. We're still waiting on some assays there, as a matter of fact, and quite a lot of geophysics. And really, we stepped it up, Rob, from a company that had been surviving and really doing a lot of good geological work, where we didn't have to spend a lot of money, which was a good thing because we didn't have much. Markets were so tough for a couple of years there. And yet we kept it all together. We grew that land package into this big 60 square kilometer land package we've got now. And in that third trimester of the year, we produced a lot of good news. And I think we'll talk today a little bit about the implications of those results for the 2021 program, which we're still developing and sort of budgeting and planning, but things are taking shape. And I think some of those implications came through in our last news release, where we discussed the results of really two big geophysical surveys that we did across this big property. First was we covered the whole thing with a gravity data set. And gravity is a little bit boring. Doesn't produce a big X, drill here. That's not really what gravity does for you. What it does is it shows you where major breaks in the crust are. And I can tell you, having worked for Newmont and Rio Tinto and BHP, those big breaks in the crust are kind of what controls mineral deposits. And so we want to be able to paint that picture that those in the know will be able to look at this project and say, wow, look at these major structures that Timberline is exploring along. And so we layered that in, and we showed some of that in this last news release. And then over the top of that, we put new data out there, which was a pretty large induced polarization survey, where we put electrical current into the ground and we look for chargeable minerals at depth, effectively things that pick up that electric charge and show us that down there's a mineral that's a sulfide mineral like pyrite, which often goes with gold. And in this case, even organic carbon, graphite, charges with this method. And in Carlin type deposits, that too is a good thing. You want to see that black rock down there that Carlin type deposits are famous for, and that's that organic carbon. So we showed those results to the audience here of our news release, and what we're saying is there's some big features at depth at the Eureka Project, and a lot of those are related to these big faults in that gravity data set that we talked about. So what that does, Rob, it's just a long way of me saying, when we combine those geophysical patterns and anomalies with the drill holes that we announced potentially in December and a little bit in January, where we indicated some high-grade gold, things like 15 meters of 10 grams of oxidized mineralization, near surface, but also longer runs, 50 meters of 1.5 grams, something like that, or 1.2 grams, I think it was, and 20 meters of 1.5 grams. All that oxidized mineralization near surface, those are associated with the big pod of mineralization that makes up our resource. But now we've stepped out a little bit to the east. We hit 7 meters of 4.5 grams out to the east. These geophysical anomalies are showing us there's a big pattern down there to the east of the main resource at the Lookout Mountain resource at the Eureka Project. And that's what we're going to tie in to generate the drill targets for 2021. This sort of 7 meters of 4.5 grams is outside the resource, but we can project that up dip and see about putting drill holes along the front range of this Lookout Mountain ridge line here and tie that new intercept back into the resource. And we expect to identify some more high-grade pods like that where we have faults crossing that known trend of mineralization. And we expect to upgrade that resource and grow it as we go deeper and out to the east. And that also brings up some hot targets for us looking south and north along the same trend. So kind of long way of saying what our exploration plan is going to be for 2021 is to build on the drill results in and around the resource, figuring out what controls the higher grade mineralization, and then stepping out to the east, down dip a little bit, and ultimately tying into what we believe is evidenced in the geophysics, a sizable system down there that's feeding this mineralization we see at surface so far.
Well, it certainly sounds like you guys have found what you need there to move forward and push some buttons here. So what's the game plan then moving forward, and what's the fuel situation in the treasury? How far will you get without having to go back to the market?
Yeah, Steve Osterberg runs our technical program, and Steve and I have been chewing on those results. We brought a new geologist on board, which our shareholders will be hearing a lot about this year, I suspect. His name is Dr. Chris Clinkscales, and Chris is a structural geologist. And believe it or not, we've actually pulled one out of the oil and gas industry, Rob, over into mining, and that's because he studied carbonate rocks and basin analysis for the oil and gas guys. And of course, when you look for Carlin-type deposits, you're dealing with limestones and limey shales and siltstones, and those are the same sort of carbonate rocks that the oil and gas guys look at. So we're thrilled to have our new geo on board, and we spent a pretty intensive week in early February in Eureka, crawling through our drilling from last year and looking at targets. In a nutshell, Steve and the team think that we will be able to drill with really high quality targets, sort of 60 to 100% more than we drilled last year. And that means we've got robust targets. We've got permitted drill sites, over 200 of them around the lookout target to sort of choose from and integrate into this new targeting. And we believe there's just ample data there to support a substantially bigger drill program. We will continue with the geophysics as well, Rob. We were really happy with the IP we did. We mapped the core of the lookout area pretty well, but we mentioned in the press release at the end the windfall target up in the northeast, a few miles away. Well, we only got one line there, and we can see really tantalizing targets east from the historic pits and between the historic open pits on that windfall target as well. More geophysics is needed there to sort of map that. And so there'll be a substantial element of geophysics. We expect to do more electrical geophysics like IP and CSAMT, and we'll probably do a bit more gravity as well to continue to map this property. So a lot more drilling we expect, a good bit more geophysics we expect as well. But, company's doing pretty well. Treasury is well over $1 million still, and we've got a fair bit of warrants that are in the money that are actually being exercised. Your audience can check out our 10K online, our annual report, to get a full statement of all that. But we don't spend money we don't have, Rob. So what we'll do is we'll be looking closely at those tantalizing targets, those which stand up to scrutiny the best. We'll prioritize those, and then we'll be looking to the market to sort of give us some signals of how excited everybody is about those results and our projections for the 2021 program. And at some point, we may well need to finance the company, but given the strength we've had so far and the positive results we have so far, I think the outlook is good that we'll have a very aggressive program during 2021.
Well, certainly music to current shareholders' ears. If you had to impart a message here to the new investor, the new potential shareholder, you laid out quite the case to keep an eye on you. A lot of activity, you got a lot of juice to get you quite a distance here. You got a good, concise game plan. What's the takeaway here to keep an eye on Timberline Resources?
I think if investors are looking around for discovery stories, and we're talking about true multiples on your investment, that comes, the growth in that part of the mining industry comes at the discovery phase. The famous graph that Pierre Lassonde originated in his book, The Gold Book, the life cycle of a mining share, it shows from the discovery to greenfields exploration to economic realization of a discovery is the greatest appreciation you're going to see in the investment climate, and we think Timberline is one of those stories. And the reason is it has a resource at surface with oxidized. That's metallurgically favorable mineralization, at surface of about 640,000 ounces of gold that we're building upon. But we are on trend. We're on the Battle Mountain-Eureka Trend in one of the top mining jurisdictions in the world in Nevada. We have a district scale property position. So what that means is when the big boys are looking around to see where could the next multi-million ounce projects come from, they look on trend first, and they look at large district scale land positions, and they look at teams that can deliver success. And I think investors should look at the same place, district scale plays on trend with a team that's done it before. And then pick a little bit deeper, in that resource, is it a lot of low grade material that might make a mine someday? Or is there high grade mineralization in there that has a good chance of boosting the future economics of a mine or improving the probability that a project will become a mine? And again, I think Timberline ticks that box. So district scale play, on trend, first tier jurisdiction, high grade, and repeated examples that we're developing an improved understanding of being able to predictably target that high grade and hit it again and again. And once that starts to happen, investors better jump on board the train, because if you start hitting that higher grade mineralization kind of when you say you're going to, that means you may have figured out the Rosetta Stone in that district. And with the team we're building at Timberline, I think 2021 has a good chance of being the year where we do what we say we're going to do.
Okay, well, appreciate that, Patrick. We'll certainly look forward to keeping our eye on your progress. Again, that's Patrick Highsmith. He's a CEO, Timberline Resources, TBR on the Toronto Venture Exchange, TLRS on the OTC in the States. Again, Patrick, appreciate the drill down there, and we'll look forward to checking in when you have some more news to report.
Thank you, Rob. Look forward to coming back and keeping you informed.